Welcome to What is Truth, brought to you by the Southern New Mexico Church of God in Las Cruces, New Mexico. What is Truth is a weekly program which seeks to focus our attention on the truth of God's Word. Now, with this week's lesson, here's Pastor Meyer Stahl.
Welcome to the program. Well, we just turned a new year. 2019 has just begun. And many people try to make New Year's resolutions when it comes to the new year. And many people make those resolutions. They want to do better. They want to be a better year. And they want to make improvements, self-improvements, and physically and also spiritually. So my question today is, should Christians make New Year's resolutions? Well, I don't see anything wrong with it. So let's look and see what the Bible has to say. But before we get started, I'd like to offer you two very important booklets. The first is, What Kind of Faith is Required for Salvation? And at the bottom of the booklet it says, do you know millions who actually believe in Jesus Christ have no salvation at all because they trust in the wrong kind of faith? Please read this booklet. It's so important. And the second booklet is, What Do You Mean Salvation? And at the bottom of that booklet it says, do you realize not 1 in 100 knows what it is, how to get it, when you receive it? Don't be too sure you do. Here, once and for all, is the truth made so plain you will really understand it. I got a question for you. What could be more important than your salvation? What could be more important? What you're going to be doing for all eternity. What could be more important than that? Well, these booklets are free. We could give you a free DVD of today's lesson. We'll even pay the postage. Just call the number on the screen. Now, we'll put the number back on the screen at the end of the program. Please have a pen and paper. Write it down. We're happy to give this information. We're happy to share it with you. And I'll look for your call. Well, let's go to the Bible. Let's go to Matthew chapter 5. Let's go right to Jesus Christ. And this is the Sermon on the Mount. And he says here in chapter 5, verse 1, and seeing the multitudes, he went up into a mountain, and when he was set, his disciples came unto him. And he opened his mouth and taught them, saying, Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Yes, the meek inherit the earth. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. And blessed are those pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when men shall revile you and persecute you and say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. Rejoice and be exceeding glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so they persecuted the prophets which were before you. So this is important. We're stopping here. The Sermon on the Mount, the attitude, the Beatitudes, the attitude of people has to change. We're not perfect. And Matthew chapter 24 shows us our imperfections. And Jesus talks here in Matthew chapter 24, and we're looking at verse 13. Matthew 24, verse 13 says, "But he who shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved." Endurance is important, and it has to do with overcoming. We're going to get into that in a moment. But enduring unto the end. What's the end? The end of your life, or the end of the kingdom. When the kingdom comes, Jesus Christ returns, sets up his kingdom. If we're alive at the time, we will be changed. The dead in Christ will be resurrected, and we who are alive and remain shall be caught up with them in the clouds, in the air, to meet the Lord in the air, and so shall we always be with the Lord. Now that's 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verses 13 to 16. We're not turning there now because of time constraints. But let's go to the book of Revelation, the last book of the Bible, and we're going to look at the book of Revelation, chapter 2. Now, chapter 2, we're going to look at verse 1. And here it says, "And unto the angel of the church of Ephesus," let me explain this angel. Angel also means messenger. Angel could refer to someone who is in charge, like a minister, a pastor, being a helper, being someone who is helping, encouraging of the church of Ephesus, right. And what I want to show you is verse 7. I want to drop down to verse 7. And it says, "He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches. To him who overcomes." Here's the key to the second chapter and third chapter of the book of Revelations is overcoming. It's the important word that's found in all 7 churches. So we see it. "To him who overcomes will I give to eat of the tree of life, which is in the midst of the paradise of God." Now, we'll stop here for a second. Adam and Eve had their chance. They had their opportunity. We're stopping here. Had their opportunity to eat from the tree of life. Why didn't they rush to the tree of life and eat that fruit? Because they had a choice. They had a choice. God gave them a choice. He says, you can eat from this tree of life. But if you eat from the tree of the knowledge of evil, of good and evil, you will die. So they made their choice, and they ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. They were kicked out of the Garden of Eden. They were kicked out, and the way was barred to them. They couldn't get back in. All right, let's go on now. So we are in Revelation chapter 2, and we're looking at verse 8. And here it is. Verse 8 says, "And unto the angel of the church," please show the Bible. "And unto the angel of the church in Smyrna write, These things says the first and the last, which was dead and is alive." This is Jesus Christ. And we're looking at verse 11. "He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches. He who overcomes," see, that's the key word in all these verses. "He who overcomes shall not be hurt of the second death." Now that's verse 11. Let's go now to verse 12. And now we're talking to another church, and to the angel, or the messenger again, of the church in Pergamos write, "These things says he which has the sharp sword with two edges. I know your works." So he goes on telling the people he knows their works. And in verse 12, in verse 17, let's look at verse 17. "He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches. To him who overcomes," see, the key word is overcoming, "will I give to eat of the hidden manna, and will give him a white stone, and in the stone a new name written, which no man knows, saving he who received it." And we go to another church, another one of the seven churches, which is in verse 18. "And unto the angel of the church in Thyatira write, These things says the Son of God, who has his eyes like unto a flame of fire, and his feet are like unto fine brass. I know your works." He says the same things, but we're going to drop down now to verse 26. And he talks to that church in Thyatira, and he says, "And he who overcomes and keeps my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron, even as I received of my Father. They shall be broken to shivers, even as I received of my Father." Now we're going to stop here. We're going to take a short intermission. Please don't go away. There's so much more. We're going to see how we could keep those New Year's resolutions. We'll be right back.
Call Mark Goldstein, the Safe Money Guy, at 575-556-2472. to learn about innovative strategies now available to help you grow, protect, and preserve your money and financial future, regardless of market conditions.
Horizon Granite is here.
It's here! Horizon Granite is here. We'll come to you to customize your kitchen and bathroom with beautiful countertops and cabinets. Find out more at horizongranite.com. Call us at 575-650-3180.
Horizon Granite is here.
It's here!
Make yourself a beautiful home.
Welcome back to the program. And in case you tuned in late, we're talking about should Christians make New Year's resolutions. And I'm of the opinion it's a good thing because we want to improve ourselves as we go along. Now, most people that make New Year's resolutions, unfortunately, by March or April of that year, they forget what resolutions they make, and it's all over with. Now, I have a way of keeping tabs on your New Year's resolutions. Now, I have here a copybook we're going to show you, and we drew a line down the center of the copybook, and we have resolutions for 2019. Put all the physical resolutions that you would like to do, and on the right-hand side are the grades: A, B, C, D, E, and F. So we'll come back to that in a moment. What you do is at the end of each week, that's Saturday evening, the end of the week, put down a mark. Put down a mark, A, B, C, D, E, or hopefully you never put F down. But try next week to make an attempt at fulfilling that resolution. Make some effort. Make some effort through the week and grade yourself at the end of the week. On Saturday evening, grade yourself. Be honest about it. If you failed, put an E or an F down. Next week, maybe you'll have a C or a D. The following week, maybe a B or a C, or you might even get an A. You might grade yourself as A. I've really overcome this thing. This thing was, and you're going to feel so good about yourself that you've overcome it. Let's give you some examples. A person that's heavy. This person's heavy and he wants to lose weight. Okay, so he puts down, number one, lose weight for 2019. I want to lose weight. So he weighs himself on Sunday, and then he weighs himself again on Saturday evening. And if he's lost a little bit, or even if he's the same weight, don't get discouraged. Do not get discouraged, because you'll reach a plateau. When you're losing weight, you'll reach a plateau where you're not actually losing weight. In the beginning, you will be taking 1 or 2 pounds off, and that would be great. If you could take 1 or 2 pounds off every week, that would be wonderful. But you'll reach a plateau, and a lot of people, when they reach that plateau, they just give up. They just give up. Please don't give up. Stick with it, and you'll soon see you'll come off that plateau and you'll start losing weight again. And then you're going to mark yourself A's and B's as you start losing weight. So the first thing to do is all the physical things that you would like to accomplish this year. And you're working at it, you're grading yourself, you're looking at it every week, and you're improving. Now, after you've done all of the physical things, let's put in the spiritual things. Put on attendance at church attendance. Maybe you've been, missing some weeks of church attendance. Well, we need food. We need spiritual food along with physical food. So we go to church to hopefully gain some spiritual food. Bible study. Well, I haven't been studying my Bible as much as I should. I am reading my Bible, but wait a minute. Reading the Bible is okay, but studying the Bible is better. It's better to study the Bible. How do you study the Bible? Well, you pick a subject and you look through the books of the Bible, use a concordance. Let's say you picked up a subject like faith. I want to increase my faith. Well, you'll find Hebrews chapter 11 is the faith chapter. And you'll find all these heroes of the Bible who were saved because of their faith. They were listed in that faith chapter. And you follow, read, study it out in each part. You'll read some in Romans, and you'll see about faith in Romans. Paul talks about faith. We're saved by faith. So it's important. It's an important subject. And you want to try to make it worthwhile. You want to check yourself. And it's so easy to do, folks. It really is so easy to do. Why don't you resolve to do this? Take a piece of paper, go right down the middle. On the left side, the resolutions. On the right side, the grading. You're going to grade yourself and see how you're doing. And you won't forget that. You won't forget the resolutions come March or April. You'll be doing it. And at the end of the year, look down that list and see what else you need to really work on. When you see some C's and D's, you know, well, I made a little progress, but I want to bring them up to A's and B's. And you're going to find when you do that, you're going to improve. Now let's go back to the Bible. Let's go back to Revelation chapter 3. Revelation chapter 3 and verse 1 says, and let's show the Bible. And unto the angel of the church in Sardis write.
Slide the Bible in there.
What's that?
Slide the Bible in the picture. The Bible's not there.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. To the angel of the church in Sardis write, these things says he who has 7 spirits of God and the 7 stars. I know your works, that you have a name, that you live and are dead. So this church was dead. And let's see what happens in verse 5. He who overcomes, the same shall be clothed in white raiment, and I will not blot out his name out of the book of life, but I will confess his name before my Father and before his angels. And then we're going to look at verse 7. And unto the angel of the church in Philadelphia write, these things says he who is holy, he who is true, he who has the key of David, he who opens and no man shuts, and shuts and no man opens. And then we're going to see what he says about in verse 12. Verse 12, him who overcomes will I make a pillar in the temple of my God, and he shall go no more out, and I will write upon him the name of my God. God's name is going to be written on you and me. And the name of the city of my God, which is New Jerusalem, which comes down out of heaven from my God. And I will write upon him my new name. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches. And the final one is the church in Laodicea. This was the worst of them. And unto the angel of the church of Laodiceans write, these things says the Amen, the faithful and true witness, the beginning of the creation of God. And of course, at the end there, in verse 21, he says, to him who overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, as I also overcame and have sat down with my Father in his throne. Well, we come to the end of the program. Why don't you send away for these two very important booklets, What Do You Mean, Salvation? And the second booklet is What Kind of Faith is Required for Salvation? Just ask for the salvation booklets. We'll send them right out to you. We have an interactive Bible study every Saturday at 1 o'clock at the meeting room at 1701 East Missouri, 1 o'clock. Bring your Bible, a notebook, a pen. Bring your questions. We'll be happy to answer your questions. Well, folks, until next time, this is Meyer Stahl of the Southern New Mexico Church of God saying goodbye, my friends.
Meyer Stahl of the Southern New Mexico Church of God, located in Las Cruces, New Mexico. For copies of today's lesson or for more information, call area code 575-650-7359. That's 575-650-7359. Join us next week at this same time for another edition of What is Truth? Until next week, we wish you God's richest blessings.